Hello and welcome. Tonight, Senate gives Petroleum Minister 2 weeks deadline to reverse scarcity of petrol. Chief Olusegun Obasanjo tells ex-President Goodluck Jonathan to show remorse. More confusion in Kogi State as a group presents son of Abubakar Audu as governorship candidate of the APC. And 2 suspects arrested in connection with attack on Radisson Blu Hotel in Bamako, Mali.
On business news, the Securities and Exchange Commission inaugurates Nigeria's Investor Protection Fund and launches the Corporate Governance Scorecard for public companies.
And on sports news, participating teams arrive in Senegal for the CAF Under-23 Championships.
We begin tonight with the fuel scarcity which Nigerians have been grappling with for the past 3 weeks and which appears to show no sign of abating. And the Senate Committee on Petroleum Downstream has stepped in with a deadline to the Minister of Petroleum and the NNPC to end petrol queues across the country within 2 weeks. The committee handed down this directive at a meeting with officials of the Ministry of Petroleum, NNPC and agencies in the petroleum sector. Correspondent Linda Kigbe has more on this.
For nearly 3 weeks, this is what you see at different petrol stations across the country. Long queues at petrol stations have defied solutions by previous administrations and has again reared its head a few months into the present government. The Senate Committee on Petroleum Downstream held a meeting with agencies in the petroleum sector to find solutions to this problem.
We are mandating the minister, the permanent secretary, the heads of the agencies to ensure that the scarcity of petroleum products and the discrepancies in the pricing stop in the next 2 weeks. We don't want to hear any story anymore. Nigerians are suffering.
The heads of the agencies explained the reason for the problem in the petroleum downstream sector, which they say have made petrol scarcity a recurring problem in the country.
Our duty in PPMC is basically to supply and distribute fuel. But we hear some reports that in the depot, there are sharp practices. Then there are the other people who divert the products itself. You have heard instances where you're supposed to offload the whole product. You may offload one compartment. The other 2 are sold in the black market.
Eventually, we will need a strategic build-up for Nigeria. We cannot move on like this.
I mean, the subsidy money has to be paid so that the other marketers...
As at when due?
As at when due. Okay. So that the other marketers can play their own role, contribute their own quota into the system.
So that is the key thing, right? The subsidy?
Yes, ma'am. And then there's another thing which we are currently working on in NNPC, and that is making sure the pipelines come back into function.
Members of the committee then sought to find out the outstanding amount owed petroleum marketers.
The total outstanding for 2015, which has been processed up to 31st October, is 294 billion 433 million 726,343.47 naira.
The problems which the head of petroleum agencies identified as being responsible for the recurring problem of fuel scarcity are not new. They are the same problems which the agencies identify almost every time they appear before the Senate in the last few years. If the present administration does not address these issues head-on, the problem of petrol scarcity may continue for a very long time. Linda Akibe, Channels Television News.
2 years after the last exchanged letters, former Presidents Olusegun Obasanjo and Goodluck Jonathan have again reignited their writing passions. The latest letter from Chief Obasanjo in reply to one of those written to him by ex-President Goodluck Jonathan, soliciting for support for his new foundation, the Goodluck Jonathan Foundation. In a letter leaked to online media Premium Times, Chief Obasanjo congratulated Dr. Jonathan for successfully handing over to President Muhammadu Buhari and commended him for continuing to have faith in Nigeria. The former president, however, went on to say that he hoped Dr. Jonathan has had time to reflect and see what lessons have been learned and possibly share his experience with others. In his words, quote, "All of us who have had experience in our service to the nation and to humanity must not put it under the bushel." Chief Obasanjo further said, maybe seeking how to be better and more serviceable to the nation and humanity is also a form of repentance and soul-searching to give conscience a relief and to show remorse. End of quote. Both leaders fell out in December 2013 after Chief Obasanjo wrote to Dr. Goodluck Jonathan, accusing him of lying, destroying Nigeria and promoting corruption. Dr. Jonathan, however, shot back 2 days later, categorizing Chief Obasanjo among those he called spineless cowards, driven by sheer greed and indecency. The British High Commission has pledged its continued support for the conduct of credible polls in Nigeria. The British High Commissioner, who led his delegation to see the chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission, told journalists after a closed-door meeting with the INEC chairman that Britain will continue to provide funding and expertise needed for credible polls. Meanwhile, the chairman of INEC, Professor Mahmoud Yakubu, promised to sustain the relationship with the British government.
The United Kingdom will continue to support INEC, will continue to support Nigeria in many ways, not just through our vocal support, but through practical support, through cooperation, through providing funds, through providing expertise to INEC. That's a very important part. And the third really was to say congratulations to the country of Nigeria for the democratic transition which happened this year. That really was something that was very important. It sent a very strong signal about the democracy in this country and a very strong signal to the rest of the continent about how it should be done. And that was another reason why I wanted to come here and congratulate the chairman and the commission.
The purpose of the visit is to strengthen the partnership that we have had and we still have long-standing partnership with the British High Commission, the British government and the British institutions that help in the management of the election process in this country. They have assisted us in the area of capacity building, alternative dispute resolution, deployment of ICT. So the purpose of the visit is to further strengthen the process. It is also another affirmation of the confidence of the international community in our electoral system and electoral processes, and we shall continue to work with them to strengthen the process.
The federal government has challenged African broadcasters to scale up the quality of their content to sustain viewership on the continent, addressing participants at the African Union Broadcasting 9th General Assembly in Abuja. The Minister of Information, Alhaji Lai Mohammed, observed that content in the media is the media's biggest challenge in Africa. The Director General and officials of the Nigerian Television Authority, National Broadcasting Commission, FRCN, NICOMSAT, as well as China's television, were at the conference. Our correspondent, Gloria Umeozoke, reports.
Media practitioners across Africa at the 9th General Assembly of the African Union of Broadcasting in Abuja. The focus of this conference is on the need for broadcasters to leverage on content to dominate the media space and become catalysts for growth.
If the issue of content is not addressed urgently, public broadcasters in Africa that once dominated the broadcasting landscape will have no viewers in the next 10 years. Equally important is the digital switch over. This must not be seen as a simple switch off from analog to digital, but an opportunity to provide enhanced services.
Réseau africain de
Broadcasters and officials from Nigeria, including the Chief Executive Officer of the African Union of Broadcasters, identified digitization as a vehicle to enhance services, interactive content, and a vibrant media industry that will help grow the economy.
Right now, with digitization, we are indeed at the cups of another revolution about how we transform broadcasting in Africa to take it to the next level, to the next stage.
I challenge you to be the stimulant for growth, your creative industries, and serve the promotion of culture. You must not lose the younger generation who are fast changing their view of television. What they watch, now they watch it.
After it became apparent that Nigeria would not meet the June 17, 2015 deadline set by the International Telecommunications Union to transit from analog to digital, this summit apparently rekindles hope for the African countries looking towards a greater future for the African media. Gloria Umezuke, Channels Television News.
In part two, after the break, 18 killed, over 100 homes destroyed in attacks by insurgents in southeastern part of Niger Republic. Stay with us.